Hello everybody, Thomas B here with another little video about my supply and demand zone software for TradeStation. This video is about installation and the installation steps, which is fairly simple for most people, but every time I have another release, another update coming out, I usually have a few people that have questions. So I just wanted to go over the steps and post a video with those, something I would have done a long time ago if I'd had this YouTube channel any sooner. So here we go. For this today, we don't need the risk disclosure and legalese, so we'll skip that one. There will not be much or any talk about trading today, just about installing the software. The first process is you want to make sure TradeStation is already running for this process, because we will be installing an update and importing an update, and TradeStation needs to be running for that purpose. If you already have one of my SD Radar workspaces open or any other workspace that uses the indicator, the one I have here is the SD Radar Futures Day for day trading. Right now, it's actually pointing to the best trade this morning, which was in British pound. See this supply zone that was visible on the 5-minute and on the 10-minute and on the 15-minute. Usually that's a good sign if they're visible on several there. And it also aligns with what's going on the high time frame chart in the sense that we are moving south, we're not moving north. Then those are usually good setups, something you can watch. And obviously this one was found because it highlighted over here in the radar screen. And I found it that way. I could take a look at it. I saw it look good. And then that's how you find these trades with this. But if you have a workspace like this open or any of the other workspaces or your own workspaces that use the indicator, you close it first because we don't want to mess up things when we install the update. So we close this workspace. Boom. There we go. You don't have to save anything, or you can if you want. All right. So we have a blank TradeStation, and I'll just kind of minimize that to leave room for something else. And then the way you receive the software from me, whether for the first time or as an update, is in the form of an email. Down the road, there'll be some other distribution for it. I'm trying to streamline that with some professional hosting. But for now, since it's only about 150 users, I'll be distributing this way through the email. If the first time you receive it, you won't see this highlight section. That is really for people who've been over the drill before, who don't want to read the whole installation steps and all of that again, which nobody wants. But if it is your first time, you really should, because they cover, I would say, 99% of the problems that people run into when they're installing are covered in the installation steps down here. But if it is an update you're receiving, you will see a brief highlights of what's in the email in these highlight bullets up here. And I beg you, please read those, because, and if there's anything they refer to in there, well, you may want to read that, or like, linking to the YouTube video I posted the other day, stuff like that. But basically, if you're not going to read the whole thing, at least please read these highlights when you receive the update emails. Otherwise, regardless of whether you are installing a new first time or you're installing an update, the process is fairly simple. Again, I will not go over all of the detailed steps here. I'll just give you the quick lowdown of it. But basically, in your email, you'll find attached 2 files. Now, this is Gmail I'm using. And the 2 files you'll see attached are the 2 ELD files, ELD files being the way you distribute TradeStation Easy Language software. There's 2 here, one for TradeStation 10, called TS10, and the other called TS95 for TradeStation 9.5. And there's a date and there's a version number for the version of the indicator we have here. So, you install the version for the TradeStation you have installed. If you are using TradeStation 10, you click on this one. If you are using TradeStation 9.5, you click this one. That's how it goes. In this case, I'm using TradeStation 9.5, which is still running, again, as per what I said before. And so I'll just click on this download link here, and it'll download it. And after downloading it, it'll what do you want to do? Do you want to save it or what? No, in this case, I just want to open it. You can, if you want to save the ELD file, you can save it somewhere in your downloads folder or somewhere else, so you have it for the future. But seriously, you already have the email, so you can always find this email again and download it again. So I would say just open it from right in here, and it will open TradeStation's import wizard, as it's called. And this wizard will list, say, the different types of analysis techniques that are in here. Are functions and indicators. That's fine. You just click next. It lists everything that is in this ELD file. and you'll see the two main indicators, supply and demand zones for high time frame, the one we use for overlay only, not for just for any other kind of chart, only for when you're using overlay. Then a bunch of other utility indicators that are used in the SD Radar workspaces. You just say select them all if you're not already selected, but they will be when you do this. You just click finish. It'll come up and say, listen, if you're updating from an earlier version, it'll say we already have something installed of the same names. Well, you just say, do you want to override? You say yes to all. That is safe to do because I don't name anything using standard TradeStation names. So you will not override anything standard. Obviously, if you have something you created yourself or you received from others that use the same names, those will be overwritten. But that is a rare situation. I don't think I've heard of anybody who have exactly that. So you just say yes to all, and you will import all of them. It will give you a little reminder that all of the functions that are being used will be automatically imported as well. And that's like, I don't know why it shows us that. It already listed them over here. So just click OK. And it's working on the import. And since I have a number of development versions in there, it took a little longer than it will normally do. But once it's done, you click OK. They are now imported. It's pretty simple that way. Now, you can start testing this right away, but the best way to test it is using the workspaces I include with it. So let's just go take a look at those. Let me just take a breather first here. All right. Since we successfully installed or imported the easy language code, the indicators itself, we hope successfully, let's look at how to install or download and install the SD Radar workspaces. And you will receive them also in the email. There will actually be a link in the email. So if you scroll up here, you'll see a link in the installation steps, say download SD Radar workspace files. Now, in this case, using Gmail, it actually lists it as if, shows it as if it were also, it shows right here, as if it were an attachment in here. But it is actually just a link up there. It's just Google trying to be clever about it. So most people, you would just have this link, you click this link. Now, before we do that, what I want to do is this. I want to clean out in case you have existing SD Radar workspace files installed, because we generally don't want to get them mixed up, since they have new structures, they have new names, and sometimes people, I've seen people that have dozens of them in the same folder, and that can be such a mess. The easiest way to do that is this. You go back to TradeStation, and you select Open Workspace, and in there, that TradeStation will show the folder where it saves your workspaces. And you may have a number of these SD Radar workspaces or down here, or you may keep them in the folder where I deliver them. The last batch you would have received from me was from January. So if you click here, you'll have this folder there. If they are neatly placed in here, you don't have to delete them. You can leave them if you want. Or you can just say, listen, let me just delete this folder here. We'll delete that, and it's gone. And they're all cleared out. So there'll be no confusion which are the new ones and which are the old ones, because the old ones are gone. Or you could move them to an old folder. I do that sometimes with things I don't want to delete because I think I might use them again. Can you imagine how much stuff I have in there? So yeah. So with that out of the way, we can go back to the email. Let's do that, and say download SD Radar workspace files. The next gotcha here is that instead of just downloading it, Google Drive, where I put these on my Google Drive, will just show there is a zip file here. This is a zip file that has a folder in it called SD Radar Workspaces, and it has these other subfolders in it. And so I'm saying, I don't just want to download the whole batch. Well, there's a button for that. Just click the download button up there, and it'll start a download process to download all of them. And actually, this is the third gotcha, because sometimes this one takes a little bit of time. Even though the file is not that big, the zip file is only 2, 3, or 3, 4 megabytes. But sometimes Google can take a little while, because really Google Drive was not meant for hundreds of people to be hammering away downloading files. But eventually it comes up, it says, what do you want to do with it? And you can just open it in here, or you can save it to your downloads folder, or wherever you want to save it. In this case, I would say, listen, just open it like we did, with the ELD file. Just open it right there. That will open it. You'll get a Windows file folder. And let me just show you that file folder, because it'll open in another window. I'll just drag it down here. It'll be right there. And this will show you what's inside that zip file. You see that? This is a zip file, and it's showing you what is inside that zip file. So you can either drag and drop this to where you want your TradeStation workspaces to be, or you can select copy, right-click it and select copy, and then go to where you are saving where you store your TradeStation workspace files. TradeStation, depending on your version, will store them by default in different places. And you can choose wherever you want to store your workspaces. Personally, I have a TradeStation folder because I had so much TradeStation stuff going on. I have a TradeStation folder on my OneDrive, and under there I have a TS95 for my 9.5 workspaces. I have another folder for my TradeStation 10 workspaces. We'll just save these in the TradeStation 9.5 area because these really come in TradeStation 9.5 format. So I'll just go here and I say paste. And that'll paste that workspace folder right there. Now you have downloaded the new SD Radar workspaces for the March-April version 2023-03. This right there. So let's just clear some of the other stuff away. This we're done with. We can back out of that. We're back to the email. And this is the folder we looked at over here before. And we can close that one too because we already copied the files over. If we go back here, this is actually the TradeStation Open Workspace window we were in before. You notice that? You know, this is like a Windows file folder window. And see how it showed up here, the SD Radar workspaces. If we click that one, we'll see that there will be workspaces for black background, workspaces with white background. There'll be one called Extras, which have some that I included with the previous versions. And then there's the one I always say, use that one just to verify that everything is stored correctly, called SD Radar Demo. So we double click on that, and that will open. And if this one opens without complaining and without a lot of errors or without any errors, then you're good to go. Basically, you should have in your radar screen over here, you should have a number of rows. Some of these may not have data if you don't have the data subscription. I even mentioned that in these label rows, that if it says, not allowed for your account, that's because it's not allowed for your account. You don't have these data. For instance, futures data, some people don't have that. Or some index data, some people don't have that. But stocks data, most people have, and those should be listed there, stocks and ETFs. Then the big chart window shows the indicator. If you see any blue lines here, that means, or cyan lines, those are the indicator itself. You can click a couple of these different ones. If you don't see any cyan lines right away, you'll see different cyan lines. So these are demand zones that are found by the indicator. The magenta lines are then high time frame zones that are found on the 60-minute chart. This is also a 60-minute window, so you can see them over here. So this zone there, this demand zone on the 60-minute high time frame zone is the one that is overlaid here. So the purpose of having that in the demo workspace is just to show that if this works, well, pretty much everything is working, because these are the pieces that have to come together. There are also the different utility indicators that are included in this case for futures, for tick size and tick value, ATR and ATR dollar, and those are listed down here. There are some more utility indicators for stocks, but I bet if you make it this far, everything is stored correctly and you're good to go. So we can close this workspace again. It served its purpose. And with that, let me just take another breath before I get to the last bit of this. All right, now that we installed the ELD files that contain the ELD file, the one for your correct TradeStation version, that contains the indicators and utility indicators, and we downloaded successfully the SD Radar workspace files that contain all the different workspaces that you use to find trades. The last thing is to download the user guide, the user manual for this document. And you'll see a couple of links in the installation email you received. The one is the last step of the installation steps, step 9 down here. If this is the first time you receive this, it may be numbered step 7 or 8. It's just a little different numbering when you're updating from when you installed them the first time. But it says download the user guide PDF document using this download link. Well, lo and behold, you click this download link. Again, if you're using something like Gmail, it may list it also down here as looking as if it were an attachment, which really isn't. It is just a link to a document, again, on my Google Drive. So let's just use it this way. We click this download link here. That will download and show it right away. Now, you can read it here. You can start reading it here if you want. This is using Google features to show the PDF. What I recommend you do instead is save it, and I'll show you why. You save it, again, using this big download button up here. And this one, you have to decide where you want to store it. You can save it to your default downloads folder. You can click Save As, which for me, I do that, and then I can select different locations. But in case, we just want to save it in the downloads folder, that works fine. Or if you have a place, called supply demand software or something like that, you can use that. But in this case, I'll just leave it in my downloads folder for now. And the reason I wanted to download it and load it from there, and again, once you download it, you can just show this folder. You see, this is my downloads folder. The reason is, just wipe this away completely, is whenever you double click and open it from here, I use Edge as my browser, but whether you use Edge or Chrome, you will find that there's a fairly good a PDF reader in here. And one of the things it includes that is not there, if you just show it directly in the browser the way you did before, is there's a table of contents. So you can click this table of contents, you can expand the different sections, you can navigate what's in here, and that's a quick way to move around the document. So that's why I suggest you download this, save it locally, and then whenever you have a question or when you have time to read it, you just double click that one or read it in your PDF browser. And if that browser is a PDF reader, and if that reader is a browser like I have, then you will get that extra feature of the table of contents. And of course, the user guide here is a fairly lengthy document, but it has a lot of stuff also about supply and demand in general. If you move to there's also a table of contents, by the way. If you don't get this table of contents, there is a table of contents where you can click the links. But basically, this guide is split into a quick start session. You can click to that. A quick start for analysis, for chart analysis window, chart windows. Quick start for radar screen. A quick start for scanner, if you use Trajan Scanner. Then there's how to use a settings panel in here. There's how to use a zone menu in here. And then comes a description of the different SD-Radar workspaces, how they are named and their structure, how to fit them to your monitor, all of that. It's a special description for the stocks workspaces, how they are laid out, and the different utility indicators in here. There's a special description for the SD-Radar futures workspaces, how they are laid out. There's the information that is unique to them and the things that are unique to them. And then there's finally kind of a workflow description, how to use them. The steps you go through to qualify a trade, not in detail because you have to be a trader and have your own rule set and all of that. There's how you use the SD-Radar as kind of your candidate list to check off. This is something I described in the more lengthy training video I posted recently. So this whole flow is described in here as well. So you may want to check this out if you have time to make better use of the software. Finally, towards the end, or after this, I should say, there comes the reference guide, the description of all of the different features in far more detail. Down toward the bottom of this document, there's a couple of different nifty sections that may be relevant for you. One is a list of all the different inputs. If you're looking for that kind of reference, there's one if you have problems downloading data in TradeStation, how to fix that. There's one on speeding up TradeStation, particularly TradeStation 10, because there are certain things you have to do in TradeStation 10 to get that done. There are some frequently asked questions that are here. And then there are also a couple of lessons about supply and demand that I recommend you read. Even if you're experienced with supply and demand, at least to get how I look at supply and demand and how I use it, that'll be helpful for that. All right, I think that was it. Now you have it. This was how to download and install the SD-Radar workspaces, how to install the indicators itself. And it's the final thing. Let's just see everything is working. We can go in here and say, and it's already opening the folder I was in. But again, if it loads another folder, you go to your TradeStation workspace folder. You navigate to where you have the SD-Radar workspaces you downloaded. In this case, let me just look in the white background folder. And since we're in the afternoon, if I were doing anything, actually, this is not a bad time. It's Friday, so it's not a good time. But still, if I were doing anything, I would be looking at usually the future swing here. So I'll be opening that one. And it comes up, and the radar screen here lists all of the different 15-minute, 20-minute, 30-minute, 60-minute supply or demand zones that are maybe worth considering for a potential trade here Friday afternoon when you probably shouldn't be trading. If you think there are too many, you can narrow this thing a little bit. You can use the settings panel and say, let's just narrow this from strict to extreme. That shows some fewer ones in here. Narrow it down for you. If there are too few, you can go the other way. You can go from extreme down to medium, and that'll spoil a whole bunch of them. And if this is what you're going, you know how you'll be spending your Friday afternoon, your Friday evening, going over all of these ones. When you have, find one you want to look at, well, you click at that symbol row, and it'll show you the zones on the charts, and you're ready to start evaluating if these are trades you want to consider for yourself. And with that, thank you very much for listening and watching, and I hope you have much trading success using these tools. If you have any questions, you all know how to reach me. Over and out. You have a good weekend from Thomas B here.